if anything, it's this will be on YouTube. So, but yeah, welcome everybody to our weekly governance study group for EOS, and we do this weekly study session on a variety of different topics, including discussions on the Constitution, and recently we've been doing a lot of I guess webcasts on second layer governance as well. So we covered ULIX last week. And today we have a special guest. We have Tanish from EOS Metal, who has a project called Tungsten, and he'll be able to explain more about that. So I'm really glad to have you here, Tanish, and I really appreciate kind of all your efforts here with DApp layer governance. And so maybe you can just share a little bit about yourself, and then also. And then we could get into Tungsten soon after.
Really glad to be here, June. Thank you for inviting us. So, I'm a part of EOS Metal team. We are currently standing on 83, and then we have been we have a policy of being transparent, and our major focus was on infrastructure from his starting. And I was very active in my initial days on the government's channel of Telegram. So it was something which I like to do, and then I just wanted to help EOS with the governance issues. And what was my main focus was that I wasn't able to see how ECAP would scale. So it turned out to be that it was a major issue, and people could not actually see how would ECAP scale. So then I joined EOS Metal team, and then I gave them an idea of what Daniel Larimer wants to do and what we could do to help the dispute resolution scale. So that was the major idea behind Tungsten, and then that's how we started doing it. So Tungsten is just criminal.
Oh no! Thanks for the background there. It's great. And you have been very active on the Telegram group, so it's great to finally have you. But yeah, so feel free to continue on with Tungsten.
So Tungsten is just a claimable contract. We were starting with the bonds first. First major was focus was to begin with the bonds, right? The claimable collaterals that could be you want to run a DApp, and then you want to attract the application users and establish trust. So you have to show that you have something at stake, right? To establish trust, because no one knows who's the developer, and then how would a second person trust without looking at the team is good or not, right? So the major idea behind bond was that people could actually stake their tokens and then keep them in a collateral, making certain promises that could be disputed if not completed. So an application developer could establish trust with the normal average users. Then we saw that not just bonds won't be able to attract the average users, right? There would be many side projects which needs to be come together to help the token holders know that the application is safe, secure. So we are right now beginning with bonds with our foundation project, and we are going towards attracting arbitrators and then attracting auditors, and finally our larger vision is to attract certifications like SSL certificates. So we are today I reached out to Paul from Metacert protocol to know if he is looking towards EOS, and then people are actually looking towards EOS so that to help the token holders make informed decisions, right?
Yeah, that's great. And just briefly for people who don't know, and I'm one of those, Metagard I'm curious. Maybe explain who that is and
Uh,
what.
okay, so Metacard protocol helps the users there are many scams going on in cryptocurrency space, right? Many Telegram the admins could be and admin Telegram admin. There are like many scammers who contact community members directly with the name of the admin. So their Metacard protocol they uses URIs and APIs to give the people identity, which could not be replicated by them by the scammers. So when you use a certain browser, you can see that this is a scam and this is not related to that protocol, and then the normal user could actually won't be willing to use them. It shows an alert that it's not related or it could be a scam. So if I think many startups, cryptocurrency startups, are currently using it, the Metacard protocol, and then they have their different Reddit profiles, Telegram profiles, which they have included in the protocol. So they just have to tell the people that be aware of the scams, and then not to like use the things which are not included in the protocol. So we gave them an idea that if they are willing to provide a service-based license to the applications to help them actually see if it's for the audited applications to help the application owners establish trust.
Great. So I think that's great. And so let's go back to the bonds, and maybe if you could explain a little bit more for those that aren't familiar about just bonds in general, what how that works. So let's say I'm a dApp developer.
So
Now, do I put in a certain amount myself? Is it does another organization put uh, the bond on my behalf, and maybe I pay a little bit of make a payment to them over time, and if something happens, they'll take it on. Like how do you see the initial bond working, and how are the different ways that a bond system can work, I guess?
yes, if you are an application owner and then you want to establish trust, you have to like voluntarily stake some EOS into the bond, and then you have to specify some promises into the Ricardian contract that I'll do this, I won't cheat, I won't scam, or I would change my code only when stated by the arbitrator, or I would update my contract, smart contract, only when certain like I get the referendum up with a certain kind of bonds, so certain kind of limit. If it needs to be specified, needs to be specified in the Ricardian contract itself, and then the application owner needs to specify the arbitration forum where the disputes will be settled, right? So, in case of any dispute arising out of the Ricardian contract, someone needs to dispute that clause in the Ricardian contract to the stated arbitration forum. So it's all have been combined in the smart contract right now, and then you can check the arbitration forum mentioned in the Guardian contract. You can choose an arbitrator, and then you can file a claim from a contract, the Tungsten contract, and then you could see how many EOS has been staked for a period of time, and then what all regarding contract state, and you can go and finally claim something. So if there is a dispute, and then you can file a claim, and the arbitrator will get involved. They can they can render their opinion, which would be binding, right? It won't need block producers to impose the award. It would be binding. The arbitrator could help some multi-sig contract with the powers which have given powers to arbitrator in case of dispute is filed. So if the arbiter rules against the bond, then the funds get automatically transferred to the claimant.
Okay.
I hope it does answer this.
Yeah, so makes sense. So I mean, initially it would just be the application developer putting up, let's say, 1,000 EOS based on certain
Right.
terms. It can be,
Yeah.
have you seen the Truth Bond from Crypto Lines?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
probably.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, it's like a similar vision. We are into the process of merging the projects. We are thinking about it and brainstorming for now how we could merge. It's just that we are like for we are think we have a different vision of like getting the certifications and auditing firms on board, right? Without it, I don't think the tungsten could work actually, because if it's not clear for a normal user, a normal Joey, average Joey, what you call it, to actually see that this application doesn't have a proper recording contract, right? Or it's like a recording, the recording contract they have put, it just benefit themselves. So if auditing company could not audit, and then a certificate company could not provide, it would be very difficult for an average Joe to go through every recorded contract or a smart contract and then trust, then just use that application, right? So it could be turned into their own interest, right? I could raise a bond and then I could say my own terms, which could only benefit me. So it's a loophole. So we are right now focusing on getting auditors and then certification companies on tungsten
So,
project.
okay, so let me clarify again.
Yeah.
So the loophole that you're talking about is, okay, so I create this bond, I still stake the amount, let's say
Right.
1,000 EOS, but you're saying that I still am in charge of the terms of the bond that can be favorable to me, but not favorable
Yes.
to the users.
Right.
That,
Right. So you could state like you could have an arbitrator, which is like you have influence over.
okay, and then,
You could state anything in the regarding contract. So it's a loophole, right? If only also if like regarding contract don't state the terms properly, right? Which could be gamed or which are not like properly stated. So it's like a loophole, right? It's a loophole which we don't want to end up providing the company.
okay. So,
So
so your
yeah,
solution to this is to have a separate certification layer, or auditing layer to evaluate the terms of the bond? Is that kind of where you're going in terms of the solution to the loophole?
so in terms of the like we want we are right now reaching out to auditors, and then like I told you, we have reached to Metacert protocol, and then certificate companies. We are looking into various companies, and then trying to getting them on board to the EOS IO ecosystem, right? So that could help us, like if you use an app, centralized website, right, where you have to use a credit card. So which website do you prefer? What you actually see before transacting or using your credit card on a website?
So if
I'm
I
just
use a credit card, you're
asking
you're
you.
asking me if I
Yeah,
use a credit card for payment
on a
on a
right.
website.
So right, what you actually see, that is it secure or not. So you just use it like you go through the security of the like Chrome. It states right. There's a certificate being provided. It is HTTPS, and then this browser doesn't say that your website, your connection isn't secure, right? You check, a normal users check all these things, right? It's like without any, if you won't be like wishing to transact over a network. Do you ever use credit card on a network? It's like you are prone to hack, right? in order to have that thing, we just need to have a clear sign, clear certification option for average user where he could like go and then see if this certification is has been whitelisted by a certain wallet, and then I can use it safely with the guarantee my funds will be lost. So that's a certification, a trademark of certification could do wonders for an application to establish trust.
Okay.
It needs to be audited.
Hey, sorry about that. Tanish, your video I was trying to figure out, but we can hear you though, so it's fine. I think your video was breaking up a little bit, so so that's fine. So yeah, I think I understand your example for. And hopefully your video comes back up. I do think I understand your example. I don't know if anybody in the audience has any questions at this point, but yeah, I think that's a great direction to go in terms of having relationships with all these companies that provide some sort of certification and auditing. So that's great. And then in the future, I think when you have something like that for DApp developers, maybe if they don't have a lot to stake initially, there could be some kind of insurance company that rather than the DApp developers having to put stake in, that someone else would insure them for a smaller amount, and that would make it a little bit easier, especially if they do have a good reputation and it goes through the auditing process, certification process. I think there'll be a lower barrier of entry of putting up the bond themselves. Is that something you?
So, like you are saying, the user reputation.
Yeah, just if people, let's say new DApp developers don't have the 1,000 EOS to bond themselves. Right. That there could be some kind of insurance based on their reputation or based on other auditing and certifications that you can still have the same terms, but someone else is funding the bond for them.
Right. So we have thought about it because it's like create an opportunity barrier for many applications, right? And many application owners would look into different blockchain if they need to put a lot of funds into their bond. So we have thought about the things, and the solution we have come right now is that if the applications are audited well and then certificates are ready to like provide uh, the them like certification companies are ready to provide them with the certificate, so they could like go for it with a higher fees, right? Or the application could ask the community members to for ICU kind of thing if their idea is good, so they can get the EOS from the community itself, and then they can stay it for the bond. But you are right in a sense that it could be an opportunity barrier, and then we are working on it. It's like we have also gone through Chama Pesa, if you have heard about it. It's a startup Ian Greg is working on.
Oh, which
So
startup?
it is the same. Chama Pesa.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Ian's project, right?
Yeah.
Ian Briggs' project.
Yeah, Chamas. So what they do is that the most reputed people lend their bond, lend their like stake to others. So it's a security thing. So it's the thing which we want to include in our project as well. So it's like with time things will evolve, and then we are in very initial stage right now. Many things have to be done, but you are right in a way that it could be an opportunity.
Okay. So yeah, any other questions about the bond? I think it is a great start to have this implementation, especially on the DApp layer. How do you see arbitration? I guess just I guess anything ECAF or anything related just is in the DApp layer now, and you just have a kind of a many options to use for your arbitration.
So we are looking for arbitration forums actually.
So we got a couple questions
Uh,
here.
yeah.
First one from Justin, the second one from Philip. So, any relationship with their truth bonds? Let me see this. I know Crypto Alliance has a truth bond, but is this the
Yes,
same
yes,
thing? Okay.
similar, similar. So as I told you, we are working on a merger. If we are looking for option to merge the both of the projects, there have been ideas that we could have a same back end and then we could have different front ends, or just we have a different Deru is focusing on the bond itself, the bond project. It's like a smart contract, and we are also looking at different side projects. So we are looking at the arbitration. We are looking for auditing companies, arbitration forums, and then certification companies. So it needs a lot of community support. So we are trying to gather as many block producers as possible. So it would be uh, nice if we could merge the projects, right? With
Yeah, that's
Dave.
great. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap. So, but yeah, those are I think very uh, yeah, great. Truth bonds are kind of innovative, and Tungsten as well, just to have at the top layer. So Philip also has a question. Thanks, Philip. He's wondering if Tungsten still plans to charge 10% of bond as a down payment in order to file a claim. Is there a concern that that would be charging victims more just to claim the bond that they should be entitled to? So
So it
that's
was, yeah, it's a really good question. So for the phase one itself, we thought of getting the thing up and then getting things started rolling up. So we decided to put for the initial time 10% of fees for tungsten for like arbitrator. But we are planning to change it once we have registration arbitration forum by Kevin NY. EOS and why. So it could be stated in the arbitration forum's contract itself that what would be their fees, and then that could be deducted accordingly, right? So it needs to be stated by the arbitrator who have registered on the platform itself and the fees they are charging. So that needs to be an input from the arbitrators or arbitration forums, and then it needs to be taken into account and it needs to be deducted from victims or the defendant and claim.
okay. So you're saying that it's
So
going to be kind of driven by the arbitration costs, more so.
yes,
Okay.
yes. It needs to be specified by the forums or arbitrators. Asia,
Hopefully, there will be many arbitration forms that are efficient that can charge a lot less, I guess, for
I,
taking on these
I
cases.
I think so, and it would really help, right? In India, I don't think many would be able to get the arbitration from ECAP, right? It's so expensive, pretty expensive. So average user won't be willing to go into the hassle of arbitration forums or giving so much money to an arbitrator of ECAP. They are really charging a lot of money if you compare to different economies, right? It's
Yeah,
better. They can say that it's better than ICC, but still, it's like a lot of money.
yeah. There might be a case to make a lot of these things regional as well. The costs are different, culture is different, and so um, having regional jurisdictions and arbitration forums might make sense. So, hey, how's it going, Shaw? So. Charles from EOS Blocksmith. So,
Great.
any other questions about well, we have Tanish here, tungsten, bonds in general. Um, and maybe also if you can explain, if no one has any questions, kind of at a high level, I think Dan Larimer mentioned that he really, governance is near and dear to his heart, and he has this comment about these 7 pieces of what's required to make everything work in terms of governance and arbitration and dispute resolution. So maybe I always thought that was a great snippet to kind of remind people about. Do you have it on the top of your head, like his 7-step plan, or do you know what I'm talking about, Tanish?
Yeah, so it was like it was a thing which actually drive me towards the tungsten, right? So it was actually I have gone through everything from starting. So it's like it feels like that all the points he was making initially of how he envisioned ECAP wasn't scalable from the beginning itself, and then he was just experimenting then and then changed to a like a scalable version. So it was like after V2 he came up with the 7 points
Sorry.
governance channel. It could have been the last comment of his on governance channel. 7 points, his 7 points, and then I don't think he ever commented anything after that. So it was like his focus was on the URI. He stated over there itself that the governance should have like the arbiters should have control only on the staked accounts first thing, and then there would be a provision for basic income, then public forums for the arbiters ruling, then votes based on the bonds. I don't know what he meant by the votes based on bonds, but I asked him in the governance channel, so he stated that we don't we are lacking infrastructure for that, but with time we would reach that position. So the main idea behind the voting based on bond was the people with the maximum mistakes in a bond for a period of time would have higher say. And 3 more points. Actually, I'm not. I don't remember 3 points.
I have
But
your article here
yeah,
that people can refer to, and I think it's in there. So
right.
where are we? So okay, public verified identity, right? You mentioned power limited to bonds, voting influence based on bond
Right.
size. You just spoke about that. Community justice
Right.
insurance proportional to bond size. So
Right.
there's an insurance community justice. Basic income that flows into the bonds first and be
Right.
confiscated to pay victims. And so that's probably similar to URI, right? Or some kind of basic income that
Right.
goes to people. Uh, and there's a link here, and I'll put it on the YouTube when it comes out. So jurisdiction selection process. So jurisdiction selection process is kind of what we mentioned, I guess, where you get to select your arbitrator or arbiter, arbitration forum. Uh,
Right.
Jurisdiction selection process was well, we already said that, and then the last one, public forum for dispute cases, for disputes cases to present evidence.
Right.
Okay, so just
So
the public.
this one is yeah. Yeah, this one is important as well because we would eventually be needing to, like a party need to choose an arbitrator, right? So when we are in pain only, then we choose an arbitrator. So how we choose an arbitrator would depend on the previous claims which they have solved, the disputes which they have resolved. So if it's like if you are able to go through the previous disputes, you would know better that this arbitrator is a legit one and this is not a good one, right? The ratings and reviews won't work very well in the case of arbitrators if the loser would always rate them bad, and then the winner would always rate them good. So you just need to go through the previous cases and claims. So public forums are important as well.
Yeah, that's great. I'm always for everything being as public and transparent as possible. I know there's been
Yeah,
there's been some concern about privacy of arbiters or just
yeah.
arbiters. Um, so anyway, but it's I guess there's some debate back and forth, but I do think being more transparent and more public about things is definitely the direction we want to take. So. Any other questions for Tanish? And maybe the last questions I'll ask, we'll try to stop a little bit earlier here because I got to hop on another phone call. But maybe roadmap. And if you guys have questions, please ask it. What's the roadmap for Tungsten? I know you've been working, reaching out to Metagard and other auditing and certification businesses. What do you see?
So yeah, so we are into the beta stage right now. We would soon be like we have completed almost done with phase one. That is, we have a working product for tungsten for now, which could be tested on the jungle network. In 3 months or so, we are hoping to get a working product for raising bond and then getting an arbitration forum. So next would be like we are also working side by side, but we could not put a timeline into it, that because it's like it is dependent on the second party, right, to get the auditing company. But we are hoping to get an auditing company with 3 or 4 months, within 3 or 4 months, and then getting the thing started to roll on. So if the bonds, only the bond project gets working, and we have an arbitration forum, so it would be good. It would be like a better project to start working on to begin with uh, in 3 to 4 months, and then we could go on adding auditing firms certification eventually. So it's like we have taken a timeline of 6 months from to have at least auditing companies on board, arbitration forums on board, and they have a working.
Okay, sounds good. That's great. Yeah, so good luck with everything in terms of making progress there. Something just came up in my mind. EOS Shield was another um, project that they won the hackathon in London, I believe, right? And it seemed
Right.
to be another one of those auditing type companies, but that had some kind of reputation, would allow people to identify reputation based on smart contract addresses or something like that, right? Um, and so that might be something. Have you kind of reached out to them? It seems like there's some uh, overlap there, or just some potential collaboration there. Um,
So I haven't teased them out, or don't know much about that project as well. But yes, someone has stated today itself that it's very similar to what Metacard protocol is doing. So we may reach them out, but yeah, we should try to at least reach them out. But I think it would everything would be more clear once Block One have their own wallet out, and then first application out with which way we are going at least, or referendum could help like give a direction to the place, to the direction we are heading towards.
that's true too. I mean, there's a lot of depending
Yeah,
on the Constitution, the referendum, also Block One's wallet, which is there's a lot of I guess promises of what it could provide. So I'm excited to see exactly how the wallet works
if
and how identity works in that system. So
I think if Daniel Larimer would be interested in the application level governance, he would come up with the bonds project himself.
okay,
If yeah, if he is like going into the direction of URI and then where I would go into the bond first, and they would be like going towards, as they are coming up with time delays, right? So they would be like get a bond project up of the of own, and then they could start building stuff over it. So it's also it like everything is dependent on like 2 or 3 months from now, actually,
Okay.
where we
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah. A lot of things we'll like know in 3 months. Yeah. We'll like that. That's kind of the time frame with everything kind of all happening at once. Referendum, the wallet, all of that. So yeah. But yeah, we just kind of I guess keep making progress in parallel. I guess is the
Right.
idea. So
Actually, the thing is, we just have to give the community options, various options. If like we don't see ECAP scaling, then we have to come up with something, right? We cannot say that they are not doing well, they are not scaling, and don't do anything from our side. So we have to work on ideas, and then we have to come up with the products, working product to tell the community that this thing could actually work. So
yeah.
it's like everyone is doing their part.
I agree. I agree. We just work in parallel, and when things happen, and we just adjust. So any other final questions? We should wrap up soon. I have to kind of take off myself, but no. Thanks so much, Tanish, for everything. Any final words?
Thank you, sure.
Any other kind of comments you want to make about tungsten and bonds?
Uh,
Uh,
Today we like introduced a new project, EOS names. So
oh,
please go
okay.
and check out. Yeah,
EOS
it's a
names.
very cool. Yeah, it's like a very cool project which helps you with the 12-digit names to brainstorm 12-digit names. You could enter your name.
All right. So EOS Metal has another
Yeah.
project. It's breaking. It's like breaking news here. So EOS names. What is the website? EOS names NAMES.
So I'll put the website names.
Thanks a lot, Philip. Thanks a lot, Justin. And it's names.eosmetal.io is the website to check out to uh, have
Thank
a
you, Philip.
tool to find the best 12 character name, I guess, on the system, right? So yeah, I look forward to checking that out as well. But no, really, thanks for all the work with bonds and tungsten, and look forward to the progress there. And yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next week. We'll cut it a little bit short this time, but yeah, really appreciate everything, guys. So take care.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.